and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your late night transfer roundup video where we discuss all the latest Manchester United news late at night here and sum it up in less than 10 minutes for you guys. We'll be starting with a story from Fabrizio Romano on Antonio Silva, Tapsoba, Todibo, and Manchester United's list of major centre-back signings, and could we be signing a big centre-back in the January window, or will it be the summer window ahead of injuries to Martinez and Varane that keep repeating? We want a big centre-back. Who will be next? We'll be discussing the players and the news. We'll also be discussing some other news stories that have come out today, as well as obviously a lot of fans and a lot of people circulating annoyance that Antony is allowed to return, but Sancho isn't. And Ten Hag has been called out by people for double standards, as a hypocrite, all of this. And people are using this as a way to turn on Ten Hag. And I don't think... I know in hindsight, and when you look at it from an outer perspective, Antony's being allowed back after allegedly doing this and this, but Sancho's not allowed back because he won't apologise, seems bad. But when you actually know the context of the situation and the facts, I don't think it's actually... I understand it. You know, Antony obviously was given a month off. It wasn't like the Mason situation. Mason was charged. Mason was suspended because he was charged. Antony was under investigation, and he was given the month off to kind of just help himself clear his name. He was on mutual leave. He wasn't suspended by the club, and he's obviously done interviews. Things have been leaked. Lots of things have been done to clear his name. Two of the three women accusing Antony have obviously dropped their case. It's just him versus Gabriella now, and he's provided a lot of evidence. He's been really working with the police to clear his name, and there's not been enough to charge him. I think the case has been dropped in Brazil. So Manchester United are in a point where they support Antony. They believe it's innocence and they want to bring him back. Again, I'm not going to say Antony's guilty. I'm not going to say Antony's innocent. I don't know the facts. I don't know the case, but the news that's been coming out the last few weeks looks more in favour of Antony. It looks more in favour of Antony's innocence. And United are essentially bringing Antony back because they're like, okay, well, while this case is still technically ongoing, he's not been charged. It's just a general investigation now. It's a he said, she said thing. And United seem very sure that this will be over with soon and that Antony's fine. And they're bringing Antony into the squad. With the Sancho situation, the reason that Sancho's not allowed back is because he won't apologise. And I get why people might think that's silly. But actually, if Sancho is allowed back without apologising, it just basically means that Ten Hag has less control in the dressing room. It's almost about Ten Hag's authority over the dressing room. Rob Dawson did a report on this the other day. Ten Hag kind of exiling Sancho like he exiled Ronaldo last season is a message to the dressing room. If you speak out against him, or if you cause problems, it doesn't matter who you are, how important you are, like no one's bigger than the manager. If Jadon Sancho puts that statement online, refuses to apologise to Ten Hag, and Ten Hag's like, yeah, come back in, then the other players will look at that and think Ten Hag's weak, and then other players will act out against Ten Hag because they know there won't be any punishments. The point of Ten Hag doing this is there's the culture at Manchester United where players have gotten away with too much. The attitude of players isn't good enough. It's not hard-working enough. So as soon as you don't reach the standards, Ten Hag makes a point of it. And Ten Hag expects an apology. He expects certain things from his players. So Sancho obviously being exiled from the squad and put into under-21s training because he won't apologise. Some people might look at that and think that's ridiculous, but it's to stop player power. He did it with Ronaldo last season. If he wants the dressing room, he's got to enforce the rules. And if he enforces the rules strictly saying, well, you can't join in until you apologise, then the players will take him serious. They go, well, I'm not going to turn on the manager. I'm not going to mess with the manager because he's not going to let that happen. So I think the reason for not letting Jadon Sancho back is he won't apologise, and Ten Hag's not going to back down, because if he backs down, how does that look to the rest of the squad? I think the Antony situation was mutual leave, and, you know, he could be innocent. You know, he could be guilty. I don't know, but it's looking more like he's innocent. The Antony situation is this player, they feel, Man United feel, was innocent and they've been accused of something. They feel that the case is going well enough to bring him back, and that was always their plan. The Sancho situation is if you bring him back and he doesn't apologise, he's still there, angry at the manager, causing issues, and then the player power goes. So I think that's sort of the situation with why Sancho isn't allowed back, but Antony is, to clear it up. I don't think you can use that as a situation to turn on Ten Hag. In fact, that wouldn't even be Ten Hag's decision in terms of Antony. That would be a board decision from those higher up. But I want to talk about more interesting news, more positive news. I want to talk on the centre-back news. And Fabrizio Romano did a video today, and he confirmed that Manchester United are interested in Todibo, Tapsoba, and Antonio Silva, and they are being tracked by scouts. So essentially, it's come out from Romano that we are looking at centre-backs. He said in this video, Manchester United's major next signing will likely be a centre-back. United are looking at the centre-back market heavily. They want to bring in a centre-back. He said in January it will depend on funds or the future of Harry Maguire, but he said a move for a top centre-back in summer is likely. We also know from other sources, because of Varane and Martinez's injury record, United would be looking to sign 2 centre-backs. Now, Todibo we were linked to massively in the summer. Tapsoba's a great player, but Romano did say he's only recently signed a new deal, so it will be expensive. And Antonio Silva, again, is a fantastic player at Benfica. He's 19 years of age, but he does have a release clause as well. I'd like Antonio Silva, who would probably be the most expensive of the 3, but I just think for a 19-year-old, he's absolutely insane. He ranks in like the 90th percentile for tackles, 99th percentile for recoveries, lots of defensive stats. He's fantastic at, but what Antonio Silva's really good at is passing. If you ever look at his passing maps, you will be amazed. Sometimes I just have a little look at his passing maps statistics, and the guy is so good on the ball. Progressive passes, long balls, which is exactly what Ten Hag wants. He's absolutely fantastic. Antonio Silva would be my first choice centre-back signing ahead of next summer. 19 years of age. If we sign him this summer, he'll be 20 years of age. Right-sided centre-back that is just elite on the ball, can break the lines. Is a really modern defender. I think he could be one of the best centre-backs in the world in the future. He's the next big thing to come out of Benfica. And as someone who's watched a lot of Benfica, just because I was a big fan of watching them last season, they played beautiful football. I'd absolutely love it if Manchester United did go out there and sign Antonio Silva. I think all 3 are really, really good options that Manchester United are exploring. 3 good centre-back options there. But I think Antonio Silva is just in a league of his own, and I think that would be a fantastic signing. But Romano said, obviously, January major centre-back signing is unlikely unless the funds is there or if there's new ownership there. But he said in the summer, United will be going for a centre-back, and Todibo, Tapsoba, and obviously Antonio Silva are among names on the list. I think other names on the list are people like Mark Gay, Braithwaite of Everton, and even Matthias de Ligt. But I think the major ones we're looking at are Silva, Todibo, and Tapsoba. And I have to say, I think Antonio Silva would be my number 1. And we are looking at centre-backs, as Fabrizio Romano has said, major centre-back signing expected. And he's 19 years of age, elite passer, elite defender. Just honestly, he's good at everything as well. And even in the final third, he's pretty good, which I think is what we want. He actually scores quite a few goals as well. So I think he's just all round got it. I'm surprised we haven't been linked to the Sporting centre-back to Monday, but I can't complain with the centre-backs we've been linked to. At the end of the day, they're all really good options. I think we need to sign 2 centre-backs in the summer. There are rumours of us signing 2 centre-backs in the summer just because of the injury record of Varane and Martinez. Look, Martinez, if you didn't hear the news, is expected to be out for another 3 months, and this is due to the ankle injury he actually suffered in April. They reckon that's going to put him out for another 3 months, and I don't think Martinez has been the best when he's played this season, but I think it was pretty obvious he was playing with an injury, and he seemed to aggravate that injury he picked up in April, and he's going to be sidelined for another 3 months. Varane, you just know, will pick up an injury again in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, that's what Varane is. All of Varane's injuries are minor. He's only out for a couple of weeks, but Varane's like, I can play for 3 weeks, I can't play for 3 weeks, I can play for 3 weeks, I can't play for 3 weeks. It's a little bit annoying with Varane, and I think the fact that our 2 best centre-backs are so injury-prone, and Ten Hag clearly doesn't even rate Maguire, we do need a centre-back, and I think we actually probably do need 2 centre-back signings, because Evans and Maguire expect to leave at the end of the season. I think we need, especially with our injury record, at least 5 fit centre-backs. But Martin is expected to be out for 2 to 3 months. Malacia was obviously out for months. Luke Shaw's not expected to be back for 2 months. Wan-Bissaka's not expected to be back for 2 months. We've got Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, and Martinez not expected back for 2 months, which is 3 of our best backline, 3 of 4 of our best backline, which is crazy. And even Reguilon, is not expected to be back for a couple of weeks. So we've got no left back at the moment. So we're so lucky we got Amrabat on loan. And the only reason we got Amrabat on loan is because he pushed for the move, because our board was so reluctant to sign him. But it's crazy, the injury situation that we are in. And I see Arsenal fans keep mentioning their injuries and stuff, and I'm like, oh, so when we get loads of injuries, it's irrelevant and it's all Ten Hag's fault. But when Arsenal get loads of injuries, all of a sudden, Arsenal in this big injury crisis, it's not fair. It's like, Man United have had way more injuries than Arsenal. But Romano's exact words are, Manchester United are considering to invest into a new important defender in 2024, and they're starting internal discussions with Todibo, Tapsoba, and Antonio Silva, who's being tracked by the club. Let me know your thoughts on these centre-backs as well. Obviously, I don't like being linked to de Ligt, and I do like Gahey, but I think he's a bit too small. I think Antonio Silva would be the best option, followed by Tapsoba, followed by Todibo. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please do smash the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and share the video. See you next time. Bye.